Order. Stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John.
Present.
Scott.
Here.
Mark.
Here.
Stephanie.
Here.
Dale's here. Get the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. There.
Yes. Motion by Mark to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion?
Thank
Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll look over the October 20 meeting minutes.
Jamie, are you able to hear us?
When is the
Yeah, I
tax?
can hear you guys.
Perfect, thank you.
When is the tax sale?
On the 15th.
15th of
Yep.
November.
Yep. That's your next special meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
And dispense with reading.
Yeah, I was looking for the words, yes.
Motion by Stephanie to approve the October 20th meeting minutes and dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
What time's the meeting?
10:30.
10:30, that's right.
I'm gonna look over the vouchers for this period. I think that's about the fewest I've ever seen.
When she gave me the stack, I was like, wow.
What's Tyler Technology? That's it.
That is for Kelly's.
This should be the very last one.
Hello, Harold. Mr. John, how are you?
Good about yourself.
Very good.
Pat Hansen says hi. So.
Document,
Preservation.
DocuPro, for the recorder's office.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just
Yep.
curious, just curious what it was.
Yep.
I've never seen that before.
Yep.
Great.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
Motion by Mark to approve bills as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. And look over the monthly office reports.
I'll make a motion to accept the office reports.
Motion by Stephanie to accept the office reports as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Wayne, what do you have for us today?
That was too quick.
Okay, thank you much, Wayne.
Thank you.
Received an email from Ryan Fuchs this week saying we need to discuss how we're going to proceed with the failing oil samples on the chip seal project that we did this summer. And so we set up a Teams meeting, which we held this morning at 10 o'clock. Present were 4 or 5 members of the North Dakota DOT, Tim Ahrens from Ackerman Esfold, and me, as representative for Griggs County. So we have to get this problem with failing oil samples resolved with more seal coat. The tests that Ackerman Esfold did do, several of them were failing, and then it got to be a time thing, so they didn't get a bunch of more samples. But anyway, DOT members suggested we, through Tim Ahrens from Ackerman Esfold, try to get a warranty special provision with more seal coat. It sounds like they might try to get this into some of the contracts in the future where there's a warranty of so many months after the seal coat is put down, because this isn't the first time that oil samples have failed. So Tim Ahrens is going to talk to more seal coat, try to get this set up on our behalf, some type of a warranty. They sent out a suggested script to kind of follow for him and for us. We have to agree with Tim and Morris Seal Coat to go forward with that agreement. Failure to get this set up and make a settlement with Ackerman Esfold could result in Griggs counties having to repay the chip seal funds to Federal Highway, because they said they would not sign off on the chip seal unless this warranty was in there and that we would settle with Tim Ackerman of Esfold, Ackerman Esfold. So I asked Tim, you know, we were kind of waiting to see if there was another adjustment. We weren't able to make all the tests. Should have at least gotten a new estimate for an increase to reflect not having to take the oil samples. So he's gonna work on that and get it to us next week, and then meanwhile, he's dealing with more seal coat. So up to this point, there's nothing we have to do today.
So let me make sure I got this straight in my head. So
Yep.
the seal, so they didn't provide the product they're supposed to provide, correct?
Exactly what I said.
Okay, so let
I
me
said, so
finish.
Griggs County shouldn't be responsible. I said, we let a contract out, you got the bid, supposed to meet the certain qualifications. And I said, why should Griggs County be responsible then and have to pay that if it isn't up to what was
Right,
agreed
so,
upon?
so we had a contract specification that wasn't met. Their response, not only the engineers, but backed up by the state and federal government who's supposed to be protecting us, say, no, they don't have to meet that, they can put up a warranty that will be strictly subjective. How do you tell whether or not they failed because of the oil or whatever failed it? It'll be strictly subjective, impossible to enforce, impossible to collect on, but they're holding us hostage to the federal money unless we sign off on this. Now, does that sound like these other government entities are on our side? They never are and they never will be. Good Lord.
This has nothing to do with that 10,000
No.
over at all, right? Nothing at all. This is totally separate, or is it?
Well, it's,
Or is it
You know, they tried to roll her together, it sounds like.
They follow what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm-
Yeah,
so here's the email about the warranty.
we've
See, and
gone,
the engineer that we hired is to oversee this whole project.
And they did, and they took some samples, but of course, the samples didn't get in, enough of them quick enough.
Yeah,
And some of them, that's our fault.
yeah.
Well, yeah, it might be, because I don't remember how many samples they were going to have in the beginning, and then if that was, you know, if so many failed, then they're supposed to take more.
Mhm.
You know, they
So
did
we
this thing
started
on
and
the
carried
pers-
on with the project before we guaranteed that it was good product, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
The
They
product
did.
comes, and we don't know whether the product failed until after the product's
Sure.
in place.
Sure.
Put down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know the quality of the product till you've already used it.
Why don't we know the quality of the product beforehand?
Because we're the
They
government.
test it when it's coming out of the truck going on the road, or they grab a sample,
Yeah.
and then if it's not good, it's already on the road.
We've been through this a number of times
Oh.
with inferior product, and it all turns out the same way. The entities that are supposed to be protecting us, the state and the federal, all side with the contractors and make us settle
And
for
the
an
engineer.
inferior product.
What do they want us to do? I mean, can you test it before it goes on the road, or they only put it on as it's going on the road?
No.
Well, here's, well, they fill the transport at the factory.
Yeah,
It's tested, and there it passed.
okay.
Then it goes out to the project, they offload it into a smaller truck,
Yep.
and there's where it's getting changed, I think. That stuff has gotta be sealed, it can't get air, otherwise it starts homogenizing.
Oh, so from
So
the,
somewhere from there to there, or maybe even, I talked to Paul from KLJ, he said we are supposed to squeeze the bottle a little bit when you fill it, before you put the cap on. So there isn't any air inside the testing bottle. But
So there may or may not be anything wrong with the oil depending on how the samples are handled.
Well, don't you remember that?
Oh,
We've done
yeah.
this before. That
Yeah.
When it comes down to that, they just say, well, the testing was wrong. The
Yeah.
product's good, but the testing was wrong. Well, how do you know that? Well, that must be that way. That's always the response. The gravel is the really aggravating one. Test the gravel in the pile, the gravel passes. Put the gravel in the road, the gravel fails. And then, well,
How does it feel from there? Okay,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm like, this is all over my head. I'm like, what?
yeah, everybody
It's
should have
over-
a
It's over
hammer.
anybody's head that's used to doing business one-on-one with somebody. You supply something, I pay for it. That's not the way this stupid system works. This is, we pay for it, the citizens of Griggs County, and we get whatever they decide to give us. And the people that are on the other end of it are all on one side and we're on the other.
So they said if Federal Highway doesn't get some kind of a guarantee from that contractor that it's gonna stand up for X amount of days, 6 months or whatever, then they will not sign off on it and it'll come out of our pocket.
So you need to start having the contractor
Needs to be
sign
something-
saying that they're gonna cover their stuff.
Needs to be something written up in
Right.
the contracts. that
Everything's always gotta be
says-
ready nowadays.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
Stupid.
how- it's a subjective. How do you know whether or not the oil in the road failed? There's no way to know that. There's no test saying, yes, that oil should have lasted longer, or yes, it lasted as long as it should have. There's no test. So all this is once you sign that, you're done. You have no more claim.
Because it all depends on the weather conditions over the period it was there and the traffic and the,
And whether or not they squeezed the air out of the bottle before they put it on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one excuse
Well, at least
after
they'd have
another.
coverage for so long, you know, the warranty for so long, so they'll promise it for whatever this
And it'll be
is.
until spring, well,
We're talking like 6 months.
yeah, so, and well, it's already used up 2 months, so you're gonna get 4 months, so it isn't gonna go work until spring.
But what should it be?
Everything's frozen.
But what
so-
should it be? You don't know
Sure.
anyways.
Yeah.
There's
That's
no
right.
standard to judge it against, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It means nothing.
Means nothing.
Yeah.
But at least we'll get coverage so that the state said they'll cover it if we sign
Yeah,
this piece
give
of
us the
paper
money.
saying it, yeah.
So they're telling us you have to accept the rotten job you get, and if you don't,
We're cutting your money.
we're cutting your money. So basically, they discounted the money that we have to put into it. They already said, okay, it doesn't matter, you don't get what you pay for. And besides that, we're taking a lesson from the mob, we're gonna extort you now for the rest of the money. Either sign on, or we're taking money away from you.
And just like any other,
Welcome to small government.
and just like any other project, that we have an engineer to watch over it, they are responsible for nothing.
There we go. Nothing.
Yeah,
you know,
they can do whatever they want, and if the project can turn out however it turns out, then they go, you know, it wasn't our problem.
No.
But we'd sure like 10% of the whole budget, of the whole fund.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. They bid it on the cost of the total project, not on how many samples.
Absolutely.
Same old
Like I said,
thing.
they have to be, there has to be engineers on site, but a traffic cone would do the same thing.
Okay, my phone's gonna start going off. We need to do something different here.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally think we should pay it, it's $2,000 or less out of our pocket.
Well, this isn't tied to that.
Yeah,
How'd they tie it to that?
It is.
well,
That's what I think, so.
that's kind of what the letter,
what I kinda
or
read.
what
Am I
Wayne
mistaken?
surmised here implies that,
Yeah, sorry, that's what I'm thinking it
so I want Ackerman Estervold to show us in the contract where they have the right to charge us more.
It should be a change order, and I've read the contract.
they said something about a change order for this.
Yeah, but a change order has to be, is prior to the change.
Yep.
It's not a post
Yeah,
order.
We've
it's
done
a
change orders. We
Yep.
did it for units.
That I do understand.
But, so I'd asked Dale to come here, and I wanted him for backup, but he didn't come.
No, I was engaged this morning with other activities.
What's your recommendation, Wayne?
Well, let's wait and see what Tim comes up with next week. He's supposed to get a new estimate in. And then by that time, he will have talked to Morris Seal Coat.
Yeah.
And hopefully they've agreed to this warranty, which
It's nothing.
it's just like the warranty we buy on something that.
Headlights and taillights.
Well,
You know,
they,
but-
they know the warranty means nothing, so they'll
Right.
give us a warranty. Yeah, if that
What this
satisfies.
amounts to is they're gonna make us pay the $2,000 and now we're gonna have to get on our knees and apologize for smarting off. You can't ask questions. No asking questions.
You know,
No. Oh, yeah.
I can't make that decision, but
Threaten us. Take away your money.
so,
But I think when this whole thing started, I think I told us all this, didn't I? That we can complain and cry and make a point of it, but it's not gonna make any difference in the end. But it still doesn't mean we shouldn't make a point of it.
yeah. And maybe it did do some good. Maybe they will be putting that in the future contracts.
Well,
A
and
warranty of some type.
did he take the extra samples? I thought he did.
They've got bottles of
because-
samples, but after so long, they're no good.
Yeah, I understand that.
we took them, they
So
just
they
never
took samples
tested
from
them.
every semi that came in, and probably every,
They took samples, didn't
Distributor.
test them?
Yeah,
because it,
Who the hell does, why would you do that?
because somebody, it cost them some money for somebody to do the testing.
so
And
why
they
should
only
we
had
pay
so
the
much-
extra if they didn't send them
They
in to
only
do the
had so
testing?
much money in that bill for so many bottles of testing. So if they would have put more in,
It's gonna start going up.
See, because none of it matters, because they know if it all goes to hell, they just blame it on us and make us pay it.
It's the
It
weather.
doesn't make any difference, yeah.
It's the weather.
It's the contractor that didn't show up on time. It's this, it's that, quit asking me questions.
Yeah, but I think we've got it on audio where he said that it wasn't the contractor.
It doesn't matter. We had a assistant state attorney general tell us that we can't pay attention to the century code because it's not literal. So when you can have someone that's in power and in charge of the laws of North Dakota tell you don't mind that law, that doesn't mean anything, it's not
Yeah.
literal.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything goes.
Do
Yeah.
as I want you to do, not as it says. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing I've ever heard in a meeting. You can't take the century code literally. I'll never forget that.
How does that work then when I get picked up for speeding? You know, you're just taking this way too literal.
Well, what happened is we proved them wrong
Yeah.
with the century code, and
Yeah.
then they didn't have anywhere else, so she just said, well, you can't take it literally. So then this argument here,
Wait till next week?
See how it goes?
yeah.
All right.
they're better can kickers than we are, though.
Thicker leather on their shoes, they can kick it longer.
Because we can't, well, we could agree to that, but Paul sent this out again, it's, all barrels are filling.
Yep. Carrot in front of a horse.
And so I sent this package of documents from our bridge interview, and they never got them. Never got them. But I checked the tracking today, and it was delivered the next day. So
You made a mistake, though. You sent it to their office, they're at home.
Yeah, COVID.
So here's gonna look around.
You gotta look through the Domino pizza boxes and the. There's a full one.
Yeah,
So you'll have more on this our next meeting.
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you,
Yeah, thank you, Wayne.
Harold, you gonna sign that?
Harold, good to see you.
Oh, Harold. Thank you for letting me talk. I always do the pyramid approach. I start on the summary side and work my way down. So I will gladly talk as long or as short as you want.
Well,
So,
first of all, let me personally apologize for not asking more questions before we acted the way we did. We were informed that you were no longer doing audits for the state, and we believed it. And as I check into this, we shouldn't have. So, my apologies.
don't blame you. Again, they actually, I gotta tell you, I was blindsided. They did a phenomenal job. And so I will kind of highlight a couple things for you, and you can decide what to do, because I have been battling for a couple years. What I can tell you is, when I have taken them on by myself, I have lost, and I've lost back. When I've taken them on with the government, I've won every time. So the city, county schools, what I had was in the first 6 months, they set me up where the places worked against me. Central Cass was a school that challenged them. And once I got challenged, they backed off. And every time, what you've said is, and they will hide behind words to say, I didn't say that. And so there'll be a day of reckoning. I'll guarantee you that.
Good.
So from a perspective, so where you're at right now. So I can tell you, the path you're on, you will lose. Because if they can stay in their zone, you will never touch them. And the way I've got to them is, I've gotten them outside their zone. So when you go one-on-one with them, they're gonna say stuff to you that is going to just keep shutting you down. And they have that ability. So my thing to you is, and again, I will tell you, I've had 4 places that have stood up to them. And every time they blink.
Mhm.
And I can guarantee you, if you're the 5th one, they will blink also. But you have to decide if you want to do that. Barnes County, just to give you an example, went up against them. And they walked away from Barnes County. They never even came in. Because they said, prove to me what you're doing. When you were at the point you were at, McHenry County, they let them do it and they're already done. So, what they have in their process, and this is the thing, they have created what they think is a weapon, and that weapon is called delinquent reports.
Mhm.
The delinquent reports, if you look at it, has 0 impact. Nothing can be happening if you have a delinquent report. Can't do anything. All I can say is you're not in compliance. And again, that's what they'll tell you. First they send this fog out, like this is bad, and they have actually gone to the point where they've said, we can use that as a weapon. And I think that's where they've overreached. So if you want to, as a county, you can challenge what they have done. And if you do that, there's a couple ways you can do that. First way you can do that is on a legal basis. Now you can either legally, as a county, file a suit challenging them to say you have overstretched your boundaries. I would say that's about a 50-50 shot. The other thing you can do, and one of the things I've kind of drafted is, you can ask for an attorney general's opinion. I asked them for it, and again, I asked them as myself, and they just said, I have no right, so they ignored me. But if you ask them, they have to answer. So as a county, if you say, we want an attorney general opinion, and say, tell me why, you have to come in. Then the attorney general has to say, I have to go to that code section that they said they can do that on, and say that it's legal.
To do what?
To actually use that century code as a basis. See, when you look at the word impropriety, that would imply something Samantha did. She stole money, she's got books are screwed up, whatever. An impropriety is not filing a report late.
Okay, back it up a little, Harold. So you said delinquent reports. You know, is that what happened to you? You weren't filed on time, or is that you follow what I'm saying?
What they did to me,
Okay.
okay, they refused to review my reports.
Okay.
Okay, they come up with excuse after excuse after excuse. When I went one-on-one, I lost. So then they come back and say, well, geez, your reports that we haven't reviewed are now late,
But
and
they're
they're
not.
delinquent.
But they're not.
But they're, and they, but no, the legal, by that definition they are. See, the thing is, they've never legally defined delinquent report. So if you had a 2-year audit, it's not delinquent except for the 3rd year. If it's a 1-year audit, it's in year 2. So that's the problem they have when they start doing this delinquent report stuff, when they open up that can of worms. They have, you know, there's other stuff they can do. They got greedy in that one. And so that's what I'm saying, as a county, I think you've got an absolute great shot.
So you didn't, you did the 2018-19 audits, but you never sent them into the state until we got that letter and Sam asked
No.
you to send it in. Or
Okay, so what
Sam
I've
had to send
done,
them in.
because, I don't know if you, did you see last year, nice little Dakota, 27 reports rejected by a state auditor
On the news.
on the news?
Yep.
Yeah, that was me. So what I've done is I stopped sending them in until they approved the ones I got to. So yours was technically never sent in, because I'm like, I don't need to be 29 reports. Because they just sat on me, refused to look at them, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna send any more in, because he's just gonna reject them again and send you a letter.
But you did send them in time, though. I mean, you
No,
said,
no,
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 he didn't.
no. See, the delinquent report issue is correct. And
yeah,
so the key is, what is the ramification of a delinquent report? And it's 0. They've been sending out reports, and you can check with the city Cooperstown, saying your reports are delinquent from 18 and 19. And they'll say, gee, you should get them in. That's their answer to Cooperstown. Gee, you should get them in. Not, we're gonna come in and do your audit. It's, gee, you should get them in.
Right.
So they've already violated, saying, well, if this is such a critical, to have a delinquent report is a critical thing, then they need to do about 500 audits, because there's that many reports that are delinquent. So from that perspective, so as you open up this whole can of worms in a delinquent report, so what they did was they just made it so they would not have to look at the report I did. And then they came back later and said, well, he's delinquent because we haven't approved his report. I'm going, this is a catch-22.
Yeah.
I want to review my reports, but then you tell them it's a delinquent, and which one's going to happen. So it's just, they put me, like I said, they did a phenomenal job.
But
of setting me
17
up.
was approved. 2017 audit was approved. You
And
did
actually,
2018.
And actually I've got, so,
And so 2018 report, you didn't even bother sending that one in.
because they weren't reviewing anything I had. They were sitting on everything I did, so I'm like, why would I want to send someone else in to have a review? Because I tried that and they rejected all of them, made a big point of doing it. I said,
But we
well,
didn't know that at all, though.
Hmm?
We didn't know that
No, you
you
did not.
didn't
That is
send it
correct.
in.
That is correct.
And then a whole year later, 19, you didn't submit that one either.
Because they weren't accepting any of them anyway, so.
And
Yeah,
we still didn't know that.
The
correct.
state never contacted us. until-
Well, Harold
until
didn't
a phone
also
call.
contact us to say that he
Right.
didn't send it in
Right.
either.
See,
So, I mean,
no,
it's the
but
two.
it-
No,
two-way road,
no,
so-
to sit there and say, I'm painfully honest, I didn't see it coming, I should have said something.
Right.
I just thought it was a matter of time, because in the past, they've had issues where they've been going through little bumps, and they've just gone through it.
Okay, so 2020 audit, are you done with 2020 and 2021 for us?
2021 has not been done.
Okay. So-
2020, I think we did most of that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So this is the thing where, see, again, this is the part about delinquent report, and
'Cause
your
isn't-
point is, I should have told you, you're right. And I can also say, if this is so critical, then they should have told you.
Well, exactly.
So.
Somebody should have told
So,
one of us.
right, both should have told you, because again, they should have come back to you, and in the past, they would always do that. So,
Yep.
there's a guy, his name is Augie Turnus,
Yeah.
and Augie Turnus he would just send out a letter going, hey, haven't heard from you for a while, do you have an auditor, or do you want us to do it?
Yeah.
He would offer, not require.
Right.
And see, it's the same thing, like I said, so like with the city of Allendale, I can show you the letters out. They just go, we encourage you to get your audits done. Not, you've committed a mortal sin, we can use the century code to come in and make you do an audit.
So your suggestion to us is for us to pull legally in, file a lawsuit to,
No, I'm saying that's one choice you have. I think you lose that one if you go
I think
with a lawsuit.
I think we should just present the audit to the state and put the ball in their court.
which one? You mean the state's audit or his?
No, his.
His audits.
Yeah.
but you already sent his in, didn't you send his in?
No, I
Sam
would
did.
not send it. You told
I
me,
just sent
you
it to
asked me
them.
to,
I
you asked
didn't
me to
send it
submit
like I didn't. I didn't file it. I sent it to them. I don't know
So-
how
no.
to
To the
file.
auditor.
Okay,
Yeah.
He said to
Samantha.
the auditor, not to the actual state for review.
Samantha contacted me after your meeting and said, the commission said, would you submit your audit report? And at that point, I said to her, I said, you know what, until I know what the state's gonna do. And actually, right after that, I emailed the state, and I'll tell you that, I said, can you tell me your current status with Griggs County? Because they asked me to submit the report. And as 90% of the correspondence with the state, they do not respond to me
So
at all.
I think you should submit the audit to Griggs County. Griggs County in turn should submit it on your behalf to the state, so that we have a chain of command.
What about the 18 and 19 report that we already have done, that the state has already done and completed for us?
Okay, good.
That's it, yeah.
See, this is where, if you look at, you got two very viable paths. The first one is the Attorney General's opinion, because if the Attorney General says that doesn't qualify, then you can tell the state to pound sand because they came in under false pretenses, because they said they had the right to. You know, see, the difference, like, I'll give you, like the Medina School, for example. The Medina School hired them as a normal course of business. I can't compete against that because they asked them to. You never asked the state to come in. You never said, please come in, we want to do your
Right.
audit.
No.
So this is what I'm saying is, if you can, through the Attorney General, say you misread that century code, then that bill they sent you is gone.
I think there's an easier way to do that, because you're putting a lot of faith.
No,
in
I'm
the
not putting
Attorney-
faith at all.
In Attorney General, and
I am not.
we've, from experience,
Yep, just like you talked about.
birds of a feather. And
No, I'm up against it. You're right.
so, I think what we should do is the path that we've been on. And now we're to a point where they want to go into executive session. They want to come, well, they don't want to. That's the path that now the Attorney General has set out, that the auditors, state auditors need to meet with us, and it can be done in executive session now. And the Attorney General recommended that. We have a letter to that effect. I think that's the first step in this. We need to get them on the record telling us why exactly they came in and took over our audit.
Yes, that's right.
And that's the first step in this. And then if that can't be clarified, because of course, once they've done the audit, they should have come across the reason that they came in to do the audit.
If there was true impropriety that they said
Correct,
existed.
correct. So
Yep, you're right.
when that question is asked, they should be able to say, here's the proof, here's what we found, and this is why we came in. If they can't do that, then the whole thing is not valid. If they can do that, then it is valid. It's plain and simple. They told us, they insinuated that something had been done wrong. We acted on that. We didn't stop them from doing the audit. Let them now show us exactly what was done wrong that would cause us to have to change auditors. And then we're right back at the start of this thing. But the only part of the problem is, this has to be done during executive session. And the Attorney General ruled on that. Jamie has a ruling on that.
Okay.
So the ruling is, it's just strictly executive session with them, right? They won't meet with us, correct?
Like right now, and
Yeah,
today.
correct. They're just, yeah, okay.
But they'll have to meet with all five of us, and that's a start.
But the question that you're gonna have in the executive session is to why they sent the letter and chose to come in and do our audit.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
What
was,
reason?
what, back to Harold's mention of the century code, what triggered this? What
What
legal
justified
issue
it?
triggered
Yeah.
and justified doing what you did? And they are going to try to hang their hat, we're gonna try to hang their hat on, if pushed, that they found something wrong in the audit. Well, we know they didn't, we've seen the audit.
So the ultimate end is for them to not pay them and not accept their audit, and then have Harold submit his 2018 and 19 audit to the state.
We get back.
Is that our ultimate goal?
Get back to the way well, that's from a financial standpoint, that will be beneficial to the county, judging from the rates that we're supposedly gonna be charged by the state and what we've done previously. So financially, that would be correct, is to get back to what we were doing before they interfered with what we were doing.
Now, did these other facilities that went against them, did they already have another audit done by the state, and the state did their full audit because they weren't accepting yours, and then decided to just not?
Okay, I'll give you.
Because my thing is, they already did our audits. They did 2 years worth of our audits. Did they do the audits for these facilities? Too?
I'll give you, I'll highlight it from a perspective where it's happened. In the school district, that's where they started with. They did no audits. What they did was they created this fog where they thought, we won't accept his audit reports, he's horrible, and I've actually gotten 6 of them in already.
Okay, so they just didn't accept
So it's very
yours.
liable. So they basically said, my audits are actually my work papers are so bad that the audits won't be accepted. So I lost half the schools. One of the schools they didn't lose was the one here. And I just got Griggs County Central School Report was just approved by the state auditor. So just like you talked about, John, in the perspective of once you call their bluff, and just like if I submit my report, you can say you have nothing because there was nothing there. So then what they did, they went to the counties. And then with the counties, they took every one of them and said, we will do your audit. So I had 4 counties. Griggs, Grant, McHenry, and Barnes. McHenry County, she folded. She said, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get messed with it. So they went through it. I tell you, the audit report in theirs and mine are virtually identical. Virtually identical. And they told them that I can come back and do the 20 audit.
You, yourself.
Myself. So I'm just going, so what did you accomplish by, you implied that I'm done and I'm never going to come back again and they have to do you forever. And all of a sudden they backed off it.
So what did they charge, the state charge them?
About 30 grand.
Follow the money, guys. The state,
So,
the
and then
state
Barnes-
has, the state is in a budget crisis that is building and building and building. I know for a fact, 2 other state entities, directors have told me that they were brought in and told them the budgets were going to be short, scrape up money wherever and whenever you can. That's what this was about.
Well,
All of a
actually,
sudden, the state gets $30,000 per county and school district and everything else. The only thing they got to do is they got to get rid of the people doing the audits.
and I tell you one thing, so
Jesus.
in Barnes County, I submitted an email to the state auditor saying, tell me why.
Yeah.
And Beth said, I'm not gonna listen to you. And next thing you know, all of a sudden she got emails and saying, let's talk. And the next thing you know, they disappeared from their list. And they've never done Barnes County's audit. And they are not, so from that perspective, yes, but that's the only ones they had. Foster County, they also did the same stuff, but that was a mess, but whatever. They could actually tell me improprieties there in Foster County because the books were a mess when they got in there, so. Then every city I had, they said, he's fine, we'll accept every report. So that's what I'm saying, so from a perspective of where I'm sitting at, and so when you talk about where you're at, you're going, why did you pick these counties? You had cities, schools, parks, and counties, and the only ones they came in on was these 4 counties. So you said of those entities, everybody else.
Were they
never
all
touched.
delinquent too on their?
Yeah, I just filed 1819 for Griggs County Central. 1819 report was just filed. I'm just filing 1819 report for the city of Cooperstown.
And did you say
Is that normal common practice for? I don't know government audits.
No, see, again-
I know.
What they did was they set me up. They shut down there, so I couldn't get a report reviewed. And they took 6 months to review one report. And in that 6 month period of time, they would not review anything else. And then they took another 6 months to review another report. So in 1 year, they reviewed 2 reports. So everything else fell delinquent because they just kept backing up because like when the time goes on. So that's what they set me up from that perspective, and that's so in this environment right now they're approving 1819 reports, no problem, and they're not yelling at anybody else about impropriety.
But don't we normally? I mean, but this time forward though,
Oh, you're
what is their general thought of when an audit should be done?
You should have an annual audit should go in that when the minute you approve it should go in.
Okay, so because like 2022 is going to be done here, so when do you submit 2022 audit into the state? How long does it take you to do an audit?
The minute you approve it, it'd be normally it's been in the summertime I get it done.
So that's kind of common practice for all counties that they finalize their audits.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
when
you
year end
should do an
and then-
annual audit, not a biannual audit. So this
Right.
1819 was because again it's late like that. So the perspective of where they're at is again.
Because it doesn't matter how long it takes them to review it, it's just the sake that we have it done and we submitted it. You know, that you have that audit, that they have it in their hands, saying that they received it.
Yeah, I mean, I could submit that tomorrow if you want.
You know, well, I mean, because that's just the,
See, I think from your perspective, I'm right, because if you have both on hand, then you've got another weapon.
Yep.
But if they don't have anything, you go, hey, he has a submitted report, ours is the only game in town, you gotta go with ours.
No, I think that we should, the ones that need to be submitted, you should send to the county, we should submit them on your behalf. That way we have a chain of command. Then, if they're gonna reject it, they will do what they should have done and told us that they rejected it or not looking it over. But the other thing is, I can't find in the Century Code, maybe I'm missing it, but I can't find a timeline of when the audits are supposed to be sent.
There is a-
that's why I asked the common
But there-
practice as
there's
to
a-
when
It
it
just says
usually
when
is.
completed.
It can't, yeah.
It just says when completed, well,
Right.
and it doesn't say when the audits have to be completed. I don't even see the authority that the state has to approve that audit. It has to be submitted to them, but approval or disapproval, I don't see where that falls into anything. And it never has before. We've done this forever. We send the audits in
No, actually,
sometimes.
it's in the Century Code, it does say they have to approve it. They have to make sure it's in compliance, because that was done to make sure that they wouldn't hire the local tax guy.
But where is it to give a timeline for that?
There's none. And
There's
no
actually, they
timeline.
don't even define it.
That's
so-
why I asked what was the common practice on that to say, I mean,
No.
what generally is it? What do most people follow for that? How long does it take?
But we don't.
You know,
They've had many cycles where they've had reports fall way behind. And actually, ironically, where the state's at right now, they have, a lot of things I pick up from the state are because they dump them. We're 3 years back, we don't see a chance, find somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's what they, so, and were they ever dinged for it? No. And there's no, see, that's why, again, when you look at it, if they want to hang their hat on a delinquent report, you just nailed it right on the head, John, because now the one area, and they're bringing it up, gonna bring up the B word, you're not gonna like it, John. Building authority. That's the impropriety they're gonna try to hang on your neck.
Can't.
I'm just saying, but that's what they're gonna try
It's
to.
been, if you look back,
I know, but I'm just saying-
in your reports, we put a special note about the building authority in the previous audits, the same note that they wanna put in there. It's been in the previous audits.
And make sure we bring the letter from the insurance reserve.
Well, see, it doesn't matter that
They can't
the state
insure it.
has,
Just so you, the 17 report was
the
approved.
state has.
yeah, I think I got this.
The state has
Sam
agreed
said
with
this
the
immediately.
language for the building authority that was submitted prior. We didn't build a new building,
No.
so they agreed with it prior, they have to agree with it now. That's my point in this thing, is nothing has changed, except their objective.
Well, see, and I'll tell you, the other thing you look at, and again, I lay everything on the table for you guys. So if, for example, this whole thing crashes, the state has no authority, just like I have no authority in the discussion to make you show it. All I can do is report on what you've done.
Right.
So what they would tell you is, and again, if they come down to it, they can give you an adverse opinion.
Yep.
We think you guys stink and you're doing a crappy job. You're
Yep.
going, good to know.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Bob's saying, but that's,
But we're not.
but you know, they've actually, like for the city of Hillsborough, they give them an adverse opinion because they don't show fixed assets.
Yeah.
And you're going, and they go, and
Yep.
what's the problem with that?
They,
go,
yep.
There isn't.
No.
no, see, so like I said, so from perspective of where you're at, see with the 17 report, that's why I brought that to you can see too, because with that, they can't, that impropriety deal, you're going, hey, it was in the notes, and you accepted that.
Yeah, I know.
So that's why from everywhere you're at, if you want to fight them, you can fight them. But I think if you try to fight them alone, it's going to be tough.
I don't think there's any fighting. I think we just proceed business as usual, and if they deny it, then they'll have to explain to us why they denied it. Well, we don't have to fight about nothing. We don't have to say they did anything wrong. Let's just go on.
Sure.
But the thing is, do we still owe them the 28,000 or 30,000?
You did sign a contract.
That's the
We did.
question.
There's
No, that's what I'm saying. So that's where, unfortunately, in the legal world, because then you have to say to them, we signed a contract with false information.
Yep, so,
That's how you have to
but
fight.
we don't push the legal side of it. Let them push the legal.
Yeah.
Let's let them push the legal side. Just refuse to pay it. See what happens. That's how this thing works. Do they want the publicity of having to go to court on this thing and then justify how they achieved the fact that we signed that contract? We were given false information. We were told that Harold couldn't do our audit anymore. And so don't go after them and say, no, we're not paying it because we're just not paying it. It wasn't something that we should have had to, it wasn't something we should have had to pay because we were doing things correctly. For some reason, the state decided they didn't want Harold as our auditor.
Well,
And now they have to justify why they didn't want him, and they can't justify it, so things go back to normal.
I can tell you a couple points, and again,
Yeah.
they want to wipe me out. They've actually made the point of wiping, they literally want to wipe me off the face of the earth.
Well, that's,
Well, is
And
it,
then the second thing, I'll give you another one, is Rath and Mayor. I just got a call from Emmons County last month saying Rath and Mayor's bailing on county audits. They're getting out.
is that a county from out west?
They're from Bismarck.
Okay.
And they do like about 20 counties.
you know why they want to get rid of you? Because you don't charge $35,000. They'd love you if.
I could do that! God, I could do that if you want me to, buddy.
They would love that if you charge 35. They could say, here,
But
we're cheaper.
he's building up his power base, and he's looking, you're gonna see about 30 people hired, because he's gonna say we got a shortage. Yep, you're right, and they're gonna make it like bandits, but, you know, again, if you think, and I think that you have a shot, if you've had the report, then they do have to go to court. They would have to go to court. I agree with you on
We've
that.
got, and then that's fine. I'm not proposing that we do anything out of bounds. I'm just proposing that we treat everybody fairly, including the citizens, including somebody that's worked for us, Harold, for all these years. I think everybody is owed the facts. And the only way to get the facts is to actually have a discussion between both sides. And if the one side doesn't want to have the discussion, you have to force them into that discussion. And if the discussion is uncomfortable for them, they will show you how uncomfortable it is by how far they move forward.
So with this, you are proposing to set up an executive session meeting with the state auditors who came and did our audit. Is that
No,
correct?
I said that the Attorney General proposed that if that is that's one course of action that could be taken if both sides are willing. So I would like to set up an executive session and propose it to the tax department, the auditor's department, and see whether or not they accept. If they don't accept, now we have the Attorney General saying that that's
So the goal of that is to not use their audit, not pay them for the audit that they did,
No.
and then have, what's our
the
end
The
goal?
goal is as any customer relationship, the goal is to determine whether or not we should have bought the product, whether or not the product that we bought was priced correctly, whether or not we were given correct information when we bought that product. We have the right to ask questions. And the questions I want to ask are, what prompted you to tell us that we couldn't use our auditor?
We were sold that audit under false pretenses.
Yep. Well, it's saying it was delinquent. Reading that letter, it's like, they're delinquent, we're gonna come in and do it.
Yep.
That's just what happens.
And that's the case, like I said, they didn't do Cooperstown
Yeah.
or Griggs County Central School. So the fact that they didn't do all of them, if delinquent is a problem, then they should have done every delinquent audit in the state.
So,
Right.
so to answer your question, Stephanie,
Right.
the goal isn't to not pay the bill. The goal is to justify paying the bill.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, if we get down to the meeting and they got a video camera of Harold reaching into the treasury out here and taking out $100 bills, we probably can't have Harold as the auditor.
that'd be bad, yeah.
So that's what I propose. Get back to normal business.
Yeah, I will submit to you the reports, and then you can forward them on to the state then.
I think I have them.
No, I haven't signed it.
Oh. Okay. Perfect.
So, like I said, so that way, again, because he probably rejected wasn't signed, so if he doesn't have it signed, then he's gonna say, oh, I've got to accept it because it's not signed.
So if we don't need a motion for you to send them to us, but then we'll need a motion to review them and send them in.
So if you can get those signed reports to us, we'll review them and submit them to the state.
Do you know how to
So-
submit them to the state?
Like, it's just like, basically you're gonna attach them in, because you've already got emails from them, so you SAO admin, and you send it, that's what I do.
I think we'll put them into a FedEx package that requires a signature.
I think so too.
Yeah,
That way they can't say, like what we're having over here with Wayne,
yeah,
I can't find it. I don't know where it is.
yep. And so where we stand on our 22 audit? Are you working on that?
I can do whatever you want. Like I said, ironically, when they came back, and this is the part when they keep doing stuff. If I'll be interested to go legal, because when they come back and create this image of this bad, and then walk away from it and say it's okay, you're going, well, it was never bad. And see, that's where the 1819 loses credibility when, because 20 is still delinquent.
Yep.
Because they should be coming in today and saying, I gotta do 2020, because their definition is 1 year after the date. So in January 1st, 2022, the 20 audit became delinquent.
So can you tell us that you can get us caught up on the audits here in a timely fashion so that we can present all this and move forward?
Sure, I could absolutely do it. See, my deal was I also, when Samantha was first talking about any discussion, until May of this year, I had nothing that I could use against the state. So if you said, why didn't you talk to me? All I could come in and say, so you think he's gonna approve it?
Yeah.
He actually wrote a letter to Barnes County, April 13th, that said, I'm incompetent, I don't know what I'm doing, and we're not gonna accept his reports. April 28th, he accepted Central Cass's report. So I'm going, in 15 days, I went from a pariah to okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, so well, they have done such a rotten job of the way they manage this. I actually had a meeting set up with Josh Gallagher, and he canceled because I threatened him. Because I sent him emails saying, I think this is crap. And I can show you this whole pile, there's all kinds of emails I've sent from all this stuff. But I finally got them to admit that they have no documentation to go against me. Because they said,
They
yeah, no.
didn't, in the emails that Sam showed us, they didn't give us a reason as to,
That's right.
or here either.
Yeah, and see, so that's the part where I said, there'll be a day of reckoning coming. And you guys
Besides delinquent. That was the only thing, was that initial letter that said, we were delinquent, so here we're just gonna do the audit.
I can
Or
say
the
what-
missing
propose-
component unit.
I propose, it's up for discussion, but I propose that we hired Harold to get us up to date as far as our audits and the audits presented to the state. And I think that should be presented to the county commission first, and we will then forward it all to the state on Harold's behalf, and we'll wait for a reply. So
Okay.
the question is, what are the charges now for bringing this up to date? We don't need a cost today, but we'd like to have a cost
No, I
on
can
what
see,
it's gonna cost.
the audits are gonna be $5,900 for the last two, but they're $3,900 for the ones you had for 18 and 19 are $3,900 each, so it's $7,800. And then it's gonna be, because they've raised some requirements, it's gonna be $4,900 for 20 and 21, so it'll be $9,800. Unless you wanna pay $35,000, I can work with you on that, and I can force myself to add a date.
So I would make the motion that we hired Harold tentatively with those, based on those prices, to bring us up to date as far as this audit goes.
For 20, 21, and 22 coming up, right?
Yeah, but 18 and 19, he's gonna present them to us so that we can present them to the state also.
So basically everything.
I think
Everything.
technically 18 and 19 you have approved.
Yeah, we have.
20 you haven't, I don't get 20 necessarily, I know 18, so it's just gonna be sending them via on a signed form that you can then look at them again and say, yep, these are the reports we.
I think we should bring everything up to date.
Yep. Like I said, after they told McHenry County that I could come back, I'm like, well, then you have no.
How
basis.
quickly can you bring these all up to date?
Well, 20, like I said, 18, 19 are done, 20 I think is virtually done, and I can start 21. Then we can have 21 done by the end of the year.
Wow. Okay.
That's one thing about being self-employed, I can
Do what you want.
do what I want.
And in the meantime, we're gonna get to look at a draft of what the state has done.
Like I said, technically, if you really want to have fun with the state, tell them you reject their audit report and then make them give you an adverse opinion.
No.
What's that to say?
But we'd still have to pay the 20-some thousand.
No, because
No, we don't.
again, this is where Dale talked about, and he mentioned, because if you came in and you were forced to sign a contract fraudulently, you don't know what done. Barnes County actually did send in some stuff to them, they've never gotten a bill.
We'll play that out as it plays out. If in fact we were lied to as far as you being able to do the audits, then there won't be any argument whether we have to pay this or not. Because how do you argue against something that was done wrong? This isn't tough. We don't have to prove a point. We just need to ask some questions. And again, Harold, I apologize for not getting us out in front of everybody earlier. We should have been defending you right from the start.
Well, I gotta tell you, 21 was a dark year for me.
Yes, I believe it was.
But it's always interesting. I had a deal where I had one guy, I have a guy who kind of provides me, I consult him to make sure I'm still current on all this stuff. He goes, why do you do something, Harold? I said, I do it because I'm a stubborn German. And right now, where I'm at right now is I've reached a point where I'm just gonna clear my name. And they're gonna make sure, so when you come back and go, I heard you're done, and you go, no,
Where are you based out of?
I'm out of Fargo.
Oh, yeah, Fargo, okay.
I don't have a second to that motion.
Would you restate your motion for us, John?
Okay, I would move that we hire Harold to bring us up to date on all
Through 20.
through 21 on our audits and the process of
And get them submitted.
presenting them to the state.
Motion by John to engage Harold Rotunda to bring our audits up to date through 2021.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Harold?
I'm about done with audits.
That's the other thing with audits, I mean, freshness really let you guys down because they make those reports basically unreadable. It drives me nuts because you can read through a lot of crap and it's just frustrating and unfortunately, it's gonna get worse.
The purpose of an audit is to find out whether anything financially was done
That's right.
incorrectly, and
Yeah.
there's never been an allegation of that.
Nope.
And procedure-wise, how you arrive at the end result can be done many different ways procedurally. And so, if this was a question of is there money missing or is there been privilege given to somebody, yes, and then it should be taken seriously, but that's not the case here.
No.
And I know of more,
Yeah.
you haven't been
Thank you, Harold.
sneaking around the till, have you?
Thank you.
Huh?
You haven't been sneaking around the till, have you?
No, I think I'm all right.
All right.
All right, thanks.
Thank
That's
you.
why I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, you always gotta check your pockets, you know, way out.
Stealing the water?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, he always stops at the restroom and gives it back.
yeah. I don't leave the premises.
We're up to the employee salaries. So did we work out some new numbers on that, or?
Yeah. The average for the sheriff was 15.97%.
So when you, in this here, so this 9, that's the average per employee?
That is what 1%, if you gave everybody in the general fund a 1% increase, it would raise the general by this amount. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess so.
And then-
For this
and
is
then
for
the-
3 months.
Yes. And then the roads, because not all of them were in the same, so I needed to,
But so, I'm so mixed up. This takes, so this number this number was arrived at by how many employees? Oh, it doesn't, but you used, but the question is, you used the number of employees?
correct,
Okay,
yep.
okay. So in rough figures,
A 1%.
100, 1% would do what?
That number. To the old one.
Yeah. So in really rough figures, then,
And I have this in a spreadsheet, so whatever numbers you want me to plug into that percentage, I can do that, and I can give you guys those numbers.
well, I mean, if, what was the sheriff's percentage?
15.97.
Was that just the sheriff, or is that just the whole department?
That was the whole department.
That's the total cost, not the salary increase
Right.
alone.
Including the benefits?
Benefits,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, okay, cool.
Because I think the sheriff was 14%.
Does that look right then?
Right.
For everybody? The total cost of the county at the rate of the sheriff's?
Let me do that for you.
It should. I mean, so that should be this figure times 15.97%, right?
Well, that's why I have this beautiful thing. I wish I would have had this during that one meeting.
No, you're not required to give a spot on the spot calculations.
34, 173, 88.
Yeah. I don't have that wonderful thing, I just have a calculator. 34, 175, 48, I guess I got it.
Yeah, I have 34, 173.
Good job, it's close enough, you rounded.
So $35,000, it was what the increase would cost to match what was given to the sheriff's department. That would be countywide.
For 3 months.
And those funds would come out of the reserve.
Which has a balance right now, I don't know.
Shoot.
So this is just like a bonus, right? A bonus, and you figure it out by the 15% on the last 3 months of the year. Yeah?
Yeah, October, November, December, yeah.
Yep.
To match what we did with the sheriff to make.
For their last parts of the year.
So everyone's treated equally,
Okay.
because we've always given salary
Yeah.
increases.
So what's the 2,139.88 at the overall total? Is that 1 month? Is that
No, that's
That's
1%.
1%.
That's if you raise the salary by 1%. So if you take that times 15.97 or whatever it was, you get to 34,000.
I'll see how you figured it.
We have not dipped into the reserve this year
So it's
for the fund, but that doesn't mean, if there was we didn't do any budget amendments either. So there was, that $100 that went, I know it's just $100, but $100 that went into the custodians for
Yeah.
their snow blower and
But so what was it, the budget was 200,000?
260,785.
Did you say 34,000? Okay.
And, and for the upcoming year, it was quite a bit less than that because for 2023, what is it? 175,000, I think.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, by doing this, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it or should do it, I think we have to do it, but keep in mind that by reducing the reserve, we are just kicking the can down the road because there'll have to be a tax increase in order to replenish that reserve.
Reserve, yeah.
So this isn't free money, there is no such thing. This is just kicking the can down the road, and now we're gonna have to deal with this money plus the money that was paid out to the sheriff's department in next budget season. It will be a shortfall.
Can you explain to me again why we couldn't take the money from the COVID funds?
There's no hard and fast reason that we couldn't take the money from the COVID funds, but the COVID funds are liquid so that they can cover any shortfall during the budget time throughout the budget. So like say you had a shortfall in the road, you could take COVID money from there. Say you had a shortfall in some other,
Yeah.
you could take the money from there. We're taking it from here out of the reserve because that money is dedicated to the general fund. So it can't help to brace up anywhere else.
So next year when.
So we wanna keep
something's-
the money as fluid as possible.
Mhm.
That money in the reserve, in the general fund, is tied to that reserve forever. There's no way to get that out of there. You still have to replace it. The COVID money would have to be replaced also, if we're gonna need money. But
Yeah.
it has the ability to go anywhere,
flow
any hole.
Flow anywhere in the budget.
In the
Yeah.
budget, yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
So that's the reason behind that. It's not a hard and fast rule, it just makes more sense to do it that way.
Okay.
Theoretically, at budget time next year, you could replenish some of this reserve money with the COVID money.
funds.
It'd
To
be a-
reduce
it'd be a
taxes.
stretch, it'd be, you know,
Yeah.
what it was, you'd have to say, well, the increase in salary was caused by the pressure on our employees, but the pressure of our employees might be leaving because of a better salary somewhere else, and that was caused by COVID, and that's why the money goes there. I mean, it'd be a stretch, but again, anything can be done, but the money, it's because that money's more liquid.
So we,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
But those first COVID funds, there wasn't much tied to them as far as regulation. We were just given
They're the
that
same.
and away we went.
Yeah, and they really did serve a good purpose, you know, some of them went to the senior citizens and.
Yeah, but have we
And-
gotten the second ones yet?
I haven't heard.
And we
You know.
did use as first COVID funds in the budget to
But I don't-
offset
I think there was
taxes.
still money left.
Not much, though, yeah.
I thought that was the 150,000 that
Yeah.
was still there from the first time.
And they're gonna receive more?
I think there was 2 payments of that.
Yeah,
I think we're supposed to be getting another one here
Yeah.
in November,
yeah,
the second chunk.
right. And those aren't, and the other reason we should leave them alone is because they're not tied to a budget.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're just
Yep.
over here in a bank account.
And that's where we've used them to balance the budget.
Yeah.
So we need one motion, a motion for the
9/7
15.97%
bonus
bonus?
For the end of the year.
for October, November, December.
Okay.
I would say salary increase.
I would say.
Because we're treating it as a salary increase, we're
Right.
giving it all the.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the 15.975,
One time. This doesn't mean it carries over till next year.
right,
Right.
for the months of, salary increase for the months of October, November, and December.
So it's a bonus.
To, kind of, to, yeah, actually, yeah, I don't know if we can, salary increase, let's put the word bonus in there, because technically, if you give somebody a raise, you can't take it away. So, unless they change their duties and go to a lesser duties, then you can change their salary. But, so So it'll be a
Well, then we better get a legal ruling on what the wording needs to be then.
15.97% bonus for the total months of October, November, December.
But let's
Raise,
wait and have
increase.
Jamie- Let's wait and
Okay.
have him
Yeah.
write it so that we don't have to unwrite it.
Yeah.
It's much easier than the first time.
Well, Jamie's off or is he on?
He's off. He had to get off for a little bit.
So
Yeah.
let's just, Mark won't get the vote on it, but
Yeah.
unless you find it a January 9th thing, are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not leaving. You get the chair.
Sorry, Sam, we got to wait till the next day to go in.
I told Kelly today this was my last meeting, and I stood up, when I started, this shirt didn't fit. Now it's loose on me. I said, it's been a tough 4 years, 5 years. I think it was 5 years. I did a year of something.
And she didn't say keep.
She said, looks
Keep
better
going.
with yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Too late now.
Too late now.
We need a motion to table this until we get an opinion from Jamie.
That's a move.
I'll second.
Motion by Mark, second by Stephanie to table salary increase till we get a wording opinion from the state's attorney. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. City of Cooperstown Community Support Letter.
I just need you guys to sign that. You guys signed it last year, so it's just, it does nothing financially to us. It's just for them to be able to purchase a skid steer.
I motion to accept the letter.
Motion by Stephanie to sign a certificate of significant community support for the city of Cooperstown for purchase of equipment. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion?
Isn't that ridiculous? It has
Very.
no legal bearing. It doesn't mean anything, but you have to sign it so they can get the Bobcat.
Yep.
Yeah, same thing.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Holiday office closures, I did the majority vote of the employees, and I got back all yeses that they would be willing to take vacation or no pay for the day after Thanksgiving and that half a day of the 23rd to have the offices closed.
Do we need a motion to that?
Yes, please.
Oh, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
When I get down here.
Motion by Scott, second by Stephanie to, I wasn't paying that much attention.
To close the day after, close the county offices the day after Thanksgiving
I didn't-
and the half the day of the 23rd.
As Sam just stated.
As presented.
Yeah. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I didn't realize that we were gonna motion that one, so I wasn't really listening. It doesn't really
That
affect,
was my favorite.
it doesn't really affect us.
No, I didn't think so either, but.
Old courthouse, new courthouse.
Nothing new.
Did you happen to speak to
Michaelis.
Michaelis about cutting the sidewalk?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, no.
I will.
What's he got to cut?
Oh, they're gonna
Yeah.
try cut a drain
I'll do
through
that.
in the, coming up the social services end.
Well,
But then Brian kinda alluded that he doesn't think they work.
Yeah, I heard that.
Anyway,
I was
so-
missing that day.
Yeah, so maybe,
They don't work. They just fill up with ice and then they
Yeah.
don't drain anymore.
yeah.
Okay.
And then,
Worked good in Alabama.
Well,
Okay.
and then were we gonna try to get some furniture in the hallway for the social service clients to, has that happened?
I talked to Brian about it to see if there was any benches over there, and he was gonna go and check for me.
Okay, so, has he?
Be careful not to put it directly into the hallway where it's narrowest, because you have fire code, you have to have so much clearance. Maybe you have it over by the bathrooms. But, or you can ask I don't know how often you guys have like safety code, I guess it doesn't matter.
There's worse, yeah, there's some wood pew type benches over in that corner somewhere. Nice ones, cool ones.
Okay?
Okay.
Anything else on old courthouse, new courthouse? Future business?
I don't have anything. Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Stephanie to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 3:54 p.m. Next meeting is a special meeting on Tuesday, November 15th at 10:30. And next regular meeting is November 17th at 2:30 in the chambers.
Well, Mark.